Hello. Um, there's an anime that I wanted to talk about, just briefly, and um, hopefully convince you to give it a go, give it a watch. I apologize for getting the names wrong, because my pronunciation is never the greatest. This one's called Frieren, Beyond Journey's End. This one's ongoing. Usually I like to wait for them to be finished before giving a recommendation, because the quality of a show can be drastically different from the start and finish. Case in point, Game of Thrones. I've read some of the manga. I'm not caught up to the manga. I should, because it's good. But I'm caught up with the anime. I think it's on episode 17 right now. It's a very bittersweet anime. It follows the main character, Frieren, an elf. And it's about her long life and how fleeting her relationships with humans, dwarves, and the like are, and how apathetic that she is towards life. There's a few characters. It starts out with, well, the anime is called Beyond Journey's End, so it starts out with her and her what do you call it, party of adventurers. They have defeated the Demon King. They've accomplished their goal. And now what? Now what do they do? She had 2 humans and a dwarf in her party, and she's the only elf. And elves are a rarity in this world. What did they do now? The humans went off, and as humans do, or at least as heroes and humans do, they tried to make the world a better place. Eisen, the dwarf, kind of becomes a hermit, and Frieren, as a being whose perspective of time is so different from our own. She sees their 10-year adventure as nothing more of 1/1000th of her lifetime. She initially sees it as so insignificant, and yet, even when they split at the end, right? At the end of their adventure, so the beginning of the anime, she's like, "Okay, well, I'll be back in 50 years to see you." That's not too long. Well, in 50 years, they might be dead. They might be gone. It's so, and they skip from the party splitting to the 50 years, and she starts meeting up with them again, and she begins to learn the value of personal relationships, of friendship, even as fleeting as it might be for her as this thousands of years old elf, and these humans who are, in the case of her 2 initial party members, Himmel and Heiter, she sees them when they're 90-ish, and of course they pass away because they're old. And yet Frieren is just untouched by time. It's so bittersweet. It's so, makes your heart ache a bit. But it's also, like I said, it's bittersweet, so it makes your heart ache, but you always have that contented smile on your face as you're watching it. The anime is split up into a few bits, so Frieren, after losing these important people in her life, she starts to crave and desire relationships, not romantic ones, but friendships. She meets Heiter, the priest of her original party, and he asks her to take care of an orphan that he found on the battlefield named Frieren. She's skilled in magic, so Frieren, who's a sorceress, takes in Frieren and teaches her sorcery and all that stuff. And then they go on adventures, and it's interesting, because at first we see Frieren being a great role model and caretaker of Frieren, but as Frieren is a human, she grows up, and her maturity surpasses Frieren. And then they become not quite mother-daughter, but master and apprentice. They're always master and apprentice, but they become more like equals, more like sisters. And that's about where the anime is at, and that's about where I stopped reading in the manga. And it's a cool look on time, the passage of time and whatnot. It really is a good anime to watch. I highly recommend it. The animation is top notch. If you just look up Frieren ballroom scene, you can see Stark, who becomes their frontliner, and Frieren doing the dance. It's very, very beautifully animated. The opening and ending songs are top notch. I'll link them below if you're interested. And the other characters, the main character is definitely Frieren, but the other characters have their own arcs, their own struggles. Like Stark, their new frontliner is the original party's, so the dwarf's apprentice. They meet up with Stark, and he has troubles with cowardice, and he doesn't feel like enough, doesn't feel strong enough, doesn't feel like he's worth enough to be the frontliner and to successfully use his skills, because he's quite strong, but he doesn't feel like his skills are often enough. And he gets to explore that and become a better man through exploring himself. Frieren has always been an orphan and they're all kind of outcasts. Well, not outcasts, more like socially awkward. But Frieren has never really been close to anyone but Frieren, so she has to learn how to open up and accept other people, trust other people, and not be too demanding. Be more understanding of other people's perspectives. It's very sweet. It's very enjoyable seeing that every main character has their own little obstacle that they need to overcome and grow. And it's not just everybody flocking around the main character. I don't want to spoil it too much. The stakes aren't all that high. They're not constantly fighting for their life, but it's also not quite as relaxed as something like campfire cooking or My Next Life as a Villainess. All roads lead to doom. Give it a watch. Or read. We'll have to do both.